shall feel the wrath of Hulkamania.
Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad John never wants to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show. Web address is bjshow.co. You can check out all our different videos, which is sort of like the podcast kind of version. There's podcasts as well, too, but the videos are up at bjshow.video. And here is the star of the show, John Combest, who every single day for the past 22 plus years puts together his list at johncombest.com, C-O-M-B-E-S-T, johncombest.com. John, good morning.
Good morning, Brad. I am the co-star of this show.
No, you're the star of the show. And
I am the co-star of this show.
You're the star of the show. And as John would say, he's got a banger of a list this morning, correct?
It's a banger today.
A banger.
It was hard to pick the top three, Brad. I might have to do an honorable mention because it involves one of your very favorite topics, and I think we should do the honorable mention just for you later.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, let's get right into it then.
And here they are. In third place,
We have reached the 2-year anniversary, Brad, of the Roe versus Wade overturning. Is that a verb? It is now. The overturning of Roe versus Wade by the U.S. Supreme Court. And both pro-life and pro-choice groups were in the Capitol yesterday to celebrate or to caterwaul, I guess you could say. And these stories are brought to us by the Jefferson City News Tribune, which I have a link to today, and also KCTV, which syndicates its stuff to KTVI, Fox 2 in St. Louis, and others. So activists making a big deal of the thing, the pro-life people obviously celebrating life, rallying the troops against the pro-choice initiative petition, which is likely to be on the November ballot, and the pro-choice groups caterwauling about, what they usually caterwaul about, which is the ability to terminate inconvenient children. And they would call it reproductive health care, Brad. News outlets and prog blogs have reporters that cover reproductive health. That's a slang for abortion, Brad. So, 2-year anniversary. It seems like just yesterday the Supreme Court stood up for life, but it was actually 2 years ago.
John, you missed one article.
I did. What did I miss?
Oh, well, I saw this headline. I thought to myself, man, talking about a biased headline. This is a headline on STLPR.org, the St. Louis Public Radio site, okay? And the headline reads, I will read it word for word. Missouri's abortion...
Well, this is a great one. It's from the Missouri Independent yesterday, Brad, and I linked to it yesterday. You're right. I did miss it today because I had it up yesterday. You're right.
Oh, well, you're always ahead of me. But, okay, yes, you're right.
Go ahead. What is the headline, though? I don't know what it could be.
Missouri's abortion ban 2 years later, in quotes, women are afraid to be pregnant in Missouri.
I know. And, Brad, I linked to that yesterday, and it's a good pastiche, I guess you could call it, of stories, some hard luck stories of women who wanted to terminate their children, whether the children were inconvenient or whatever the reason would be. And yesterday, Brad, when I tweet out my daily headlines, I pointed out that it was a prog blog, which is the Missouri Independent, promoting pro-choice heroes. So we shouldn't attribute this story to St. Louis Public Radio, although it is on their website. The story is from a content creator at the Missouri Independent who amalgamated a bunch of caterwauling about pro-life laws. You're right, Brad.
But see, the interesting thing for me on this is the headline says it all, because the flip side of that, there are probably lots of women, some of whom may be listening right now, who are pregnant and happy about it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
I mean, and it's like, Beal, it's women are afraid to be pregnant in Missouri. Man, if Dr. Camille Winter were still alive, you could see the veins bulge in his forehead over. And once again, I'm saying if you flip the headline around and made it like a pro-life headline, he would still be mad about that because once again, it's not about the viewpoint of the journalist. It's the reporting, which should be unbiased, which obviously in this case wasn't. So anyway.
Well, now also let me interrupt here, Brad, because this is from the Missouri Independent. So this is not journalism. This is content creation. And this woman's name is Anna Spare or Anna Spory. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So it's Spoerre. Brad, you want to take a guess at what her title is for the Progressive blog? What is her title as a content creator?
She is family relations editor. Or, I don't
It's
know.
close. She covers reproductive health care. So that means abortion. Remember, reproductive health care is one of the euphemisms now for terminating inconvenient children. It's reproductive health care. Now, what's surprising about it, I have to say, is that she has her headshot here, and her hair actually extends beyond her ears, which is, if you had to stereotype, you would say that that would usually not be the case. You would think that it would be super short, maybe a pixie, and maybe it would be dyed a pastel color. But in fact, she appears to have long hair, which I think is pretty unique for somebody who covers, quote, reproductive health care, unquote. But you're right. And so the great thing about the Missouri Independent, if you're a progressive, is it syndicates its content, and people throughout the state will go to a website like, I don't know, STLPR.org and think that it's a news story, when in fact it's just a really good piece of progressive content.
Okay, John, I need some help. Did you say a pixie haircut?
Yeah, pixie haircut.
What is a pixie haircut?
Well, once again, Brad, I would point out that Google is your friend, but for the sake of the discussion on the radio, I would say that it's a very short haircut. It's a boy haircut.
Okay.
It's like if a girl gets a boy haircut, you could call it a pixie haircut.
Okay, while you're doing number 2,
Up a notch to number 2.
I'll check out pixie haircuts.
KWTO Radio down in Springfield, the Elijah Har Show, which is by far my favorite. Well, actually, it's tied for my favorite show, because you have the Elijah Har Show on KWTO, and then you have All the Above with Garrett Bowles. They are two fantastic shows. Elijah Har, former Speaker of the House, had State Senator Mike Moon on yesterday. Now, Mike talks a little bit about what his legislative priorities are going to be for next year, but he talked about one of these topics, Brad, that's kind of faddish, that goes in and out of the cultural discussion on social media and stuff. And that is raw milk. Mike Moon has been an advocate over the years of legislation which would, I guess you can say, unencumber producers of raw milk from having such stringent regulation. Brad, where are you on raw milk?
Now let's get this straight. When you're saying essentially that raw milk means unpasteurized, correct?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I should have been more specific. You're right about that. Unpasteurized milk, correct.
And if we know the Louis Pasteur was the one who came up with don't they like boil the milk? Isn't that what they do to get the... I
think that's what they do. And, that's what Elijah pointed out on the show. And now, Brad, as a kid growing up in the 80s, we called that Homo milk. I mean, it was homogenized, right? And the label on the milk said Homo milk.
Right.
And I mean, I don't think you could do that today.
You couldn't
would
do
either
it.
be offended or proud or
right.
slap some sort of triangle with a rainbow on it. Where are you on raw milk, Fred?
You know what? Once again, you're talking to the libertarian kind of guy. I'm going like, if people, here's all you have to do. How many times a day do I buy a product or use a product that has the Proposition 65 warning on it, which is from California, which essentially, according to Proposition 65 in California, and I think some manufacturers just stick that on. If you don't know what it is, this is a proposition years and years and years ago in California, which essentially declared that anything that could cause cancer had the Proposition 65 warning on. Okay. I'm of the point, if you want to sell it, just stick a sticker on it. Hey, guess what? This is not pasteurized. It has been proven the fact that this milk may have certain toxin or botulism or something in it. Drink at your own risk, and then sell the stuff. That would be me.
I think, I tend to agree with you, and I like the raw milk. I like the idea of the raw milk thing for the idea of the libertarianism and the fact that we don't need government looking at the stuff. But also, I mean, to the extent that they do already. And in fact, I looked at Mike Moon's bill, and it would still require the state milk board to, and I don't know how you can get on a board that allows you to go around checking out milkers, but the milk board would still offer quarterly reviews of every raw milk provider. That you'd have to provide USDA information that your cows don't have whatever botulism or whatever it is. So I like the idea of being free from government interference, but I associate raw milk with a group of people, Brad. Like, I have a stereotype of the type of people that are always trying to get you to try raw milk. And to me, it's kind of like the marijuana issue. And that in theory, I would be for legalization of marijuana. But then I look at marijuana supporters and I'm like, these are the guys that toke up in the carpool lane, or at your kid's baseball game. So I don't know. I'm not a raw milk guy. And Senator Moon has some theories that he explains in Elijah's interview on what the homogenization process does to milk. And I guess it's because my battle scars, Brad, of working for Monsanto, when knuckle draggers and troglodytes and the kind of people who move their lips when they read would talk about how terrible GMO food is without having any sort of science behind it. So who knows? Maybe homogenization destroys nutrients in milk. I would be inclined to think that that's propaganda from the raw milk industry. But people can judge for themselves. So go to Elijah's interview and check it out.
John, I've got bad news for you.
What's that?
I move my lips when I talk.
Well, when you talk, maybe not when you read, though, Brad. Because you are not a ventriloquist. We will not see you down at Bob Kramer's marionettes throwing your voice, will we?
No, we won't.
Is that place still exist, or is that like a typical city thing that Rufus R. Jones got shot on the sidewalk in front and schools stopped sending kids down there?
Where do you come up with these names? Rufus R. Jones.
Well, he's related to Spear Chucker Jones.
Not going to touch that. Okay, we ready for the biggie?
We're ready.
The number one.
The numero uno.
I have bad news, Brad. For all the students out there that took on a huge amount of debt and expected Uncle Sam to cover it for us, and Uncle Brad and Uncle John to cover it for us with taxpayer money, bad news, Brad. Judges in both Kansas and Missouri, the headline reads, temporarily halted much of President Biden's student debt forgiveness plan. Now, how's this for, Brad, you mentioned a biased headline earlier. How's this for a neutral intro? Provides a faster path to cancellation and lower monthly payments for millions of borrowers. So specifically to Missouri, a Missouri judge said that the Department of Education could still lower monthly payments for student debt, but the Department of Education cannot completely forgive loan balances going forward. Now, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is, of course, crowing about this. He says that this is a big victory for Missouri and, of course, by extension for himself, in making sure that taxpayers are not saddled with this ridiculous let's pay for college kids and recent graduates debt that they chose to take on. So it could be good news, Brad, or bad news, depending on how you look at it.
I heard him on 97.1 yesterday talking about this. It's pretty interesting. Matter of fact, I actually transcribed the line. He said, I'm crowing about the fact that I've reversed this legislation, and by the way, my competitor is a loser because he lost the battle with Trump. That's pretty much what he said.
Now, Brad, the irony of this is that as we speak, Andrew Bailey is on 97.1 this morning.
Right at this moment.
No, I just saw a tweet from the folks at 97.1. And our friend John Lamping is going to be on 97.1 as well. I'm not sure exactly. I know Mark Cox starts really early. I'm not sure if Bailey and Lamping have already been on. But
do you think Andrew Bailey would look good with a Pixie haircut?
He would. I mean, he's a military guy.
And
I think if he did it as a woman, he would have to walk around and he would have to complain about how that guy didn't call him back after that party, and how also the patriarchy is, I only earn 73 cents that a man earns. I mean, I don't have the qualifications and I don't work in a risky industry, but it's like 73 cents. Why don't men date me?
John, I'm looking at you. Your suggestion was well placed. I'm looking on Google Images of all the Pixie haircuts, and quite honestly, these are some very attractive women. I like these Pixie haircuts.
Yeah, and which once again shows that those pictures are not real life. Like, imagine the type of woman that would choose to get a Pixie haircut, Brad. Like, it's like Miley Cyrus when she was in her twerking era, and she was shaking her pancake booty for attention. Those are the type of people that get Pixie haircuts. You're not going to have a ScarJo or an attractive woman choose that, Brad.
Not according to Wikipedia images, or need to Google images. Look at this lady, man. She's attractive. Wow. Whoa, look at her, man.
Well, you know what, Brad? You know what? It's have at it is what I would say. And I'm sure there's men that have a thing for women with Pixie haircuts. I assume that 94% of them would call themselves gender fluid. or, trisexual. They'll try anything sexual. But if you're attracted to a woman with short hair, I mean, it is Pride Month. Brad, we have an honorable mention. Can I get into that?
Well, I was just going to say that I'm looking at these Pixie haircuts. An ad popped up for Subarus. I don't know why that would be. Okay, what's
I don't know either. And also Birkenstocks.
Right, and flannel shirts. Okay, what's the honorable mention this morning, John?
The honorable mention is I have a link up today from St. Louis Public Radio, and there are two important award seasons that go on in journalism, Brad. One is the Missouri Press Association has like a circle jerk thing where they all give each other awards and make each other feel good. And Missouri Broadcasters Association has a set of awards as well. And St. Louis Public Radio has a congratulations to us type of piece up. And they list all the awards that they've won. And Brad, I would point out specifically that they won Best Local Website. They won second place for Best Local Website. And I don't know which the first one was. I didn't care enough to look it up. But also some folks that we actually like won awards. Jason Rosenbaum won Best Video Content by a radio station. I think that was first place. No, actually, I guess that was second place awards. But anyway, if you want to see the list of awards that St. Louis Public Radio won, you can check out that link. They have a self-congratulatory story up today. And then also, helpfully, Brad, as a service to my readers, underneath sometimes I will link to search tags where if you click on it, you could find all the days that link to those stories. And I have a category on my website called Journalists Congratulating Themselves. So if you click on that, you can read all the stories over the last few years of journalists congratulating themselves.
John, this is inside baseball stuff, but I told you I got to duck out of here a little early this morning. So
yeah, you did.
Do you want to cut this segment short, and we'll pick up with the next segment, which will be our last,
that
and run that
great.
one long?
Yeah, let's
okay,
do that.
Let's cut this one short because I've got feedback from our listeners from yesterday, and John, you have a ultimate critic who doesn't listen to us live, but listens to us on the podcast on YouTube and has just picked you apart. And
I can't wait to hear it. Let's hear it.
Oh, well, we'll pick that up in the next break, okay?
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?